been a minute.
How you doing?
Oh, me, I'm great. Why are you being awkward?
I don't know. I'm just awkward.
Okay, I guess I'm awkward too. Um, I've got a lot of thoughts today, and I don't know if they're going to be productive or not, but I've got things
Okay.
to talk about, and I hope you'll take them seriously, because that's a worry that I have.
Okay. I'll do my best.
First, I want to address something I said in the last episode. I said I had a pimp coat
Yeah, where is that?
from
I was
Spirit
waiting to see it
Halloween.
on you.
I couldn't find it. And I had like a big purple pimp hat with it too, and I'm a little afraid it might have gotten thrown away.
Pimp's not a pimp without his coat.
I know. It actually was not very comfortable. It was like really lightweight, horrible
Is it a Spirit
material.
Halloween purchase or?
I think so. I think it was.
Nice. It probably
I
wasn't
believe it
marked
was.
pimp coat on the rack, right? It probably has some other name for it.
Yeah,
It always makes me
maybe.
laugh when they'll have like a character from some show just clearly like to represent that character, but they don't have the rights to it. So it's like there's some funny like names. Go to Spirit Halloween and see some of like the way they name their products where it's like almost describing the character. I saw one from it was like Dwight from The Office, and it was like nerdy office worker or something like that, but it was like his exact wardrobe, and yeah, funny thing.
Yeah, I guess there's legal issues
Yeah.
there, right? That whole off-brand scene is interesting. Actually, that's what we're going to talk about in a minute. I want to talk about brand names versus off-brand
Okay.
names and kind of some of the philosophy and consumer behaviors around those things. But anyway, before we get into that, have you seen? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, and I don't think we said it in episode 1, but we're out in Utah. So you might hear us reference Utah from time to time. But did you see the story circling on local news about these Weezer billboards?
I think I've heard.
Have you followed any
I've
of that?
heard mention of it, but I have not seen or investigated deeply yet. No.
Okay, so this bro, I think it's in the Murray area. What's his name? Hold on, I pulled up a local news story. Thanks, Fox 13.
Just said Weezer.
I'm sharing your news story. Okay, so this guy in Murray just bought this billboard back in the summer that just said Weezer, really big. Why? It seems like it's to promote like a clothing brand that he has, where he kind of does like band T-shirts and stuff. But
There's not even like a
recently,
website or anything on there, right?
no, it just says Weezer. Like fun band, whatever. But the band, being the goofs that they are, actually responded with this billboard.
Thanks to everybody.
And I remember seeing on TikTok when this billboard first went up, like the guy who put up the original one was like, I have no idea who did this, but it turns out it was actually the band, and the band has been posting about it on their socials, and
That's funny.
it's just kind of a weird use of like $5,000 a month to
Yeah, that was just
have
this
this weird
month.
billboard conversation. Yeah,
See,
it's
some people say like, "Oh, I hate advertising," and like we're the bad guys, and I get some of that to some degree. You can go about their own way, but then there's just like, come on, nice good billboard campaign, just sharing the love.
good.
Like, you love to see it.
Yeah, nice wholesome story.
That's a good little capsule. That encapsulates what our channel is about. Like that's a little even further removed from like the marketing, like business aspect of it. But that's the kind of stuff I want to talk about with you more of, because like it's about branding. It's about recognition of what makes people, what they connect to or rally around, or what to influence people, and what goes viral and things like that. That's not just the academic paper on it, not just the
Right.
webinar course and a how-to course. It's just like, that's entertaining and it has to do with branding. I like it.
But that wouldn't work with every band.
Mm-mm.
Like there's there's a reason it worked with Weezer. So like Weezer is just like a fun pop punk band that released way too many albums that I can't even listen to them all. But um, and they've always had like a goofball personality and kind of nerd
Yeah.
vibes, and that was kind of always like the image that they portrayed, and it would almost be like not on brand for them to not
Yeah. Or if they
respond
got
to
mad
that
about it or
people.
something like that wouldn't be. Yeah. That makes me think about what I've given thought to this about like band names or even just single artist names. How like people are like, oh, that'd make a good band name. And there are some things that like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a band name. But a band is such an interesting type of brand where it's people that have a sound and a style. There's a visual aspect, there's a musical sonic aspect, there's a personality, and they change and morph so much more usually than like a store, like a organization brand does. That really there's no such thing in my mind as a bad brand name. It's just what you like. What is Weezer like? That is what it doesn't
Oh, there are bad brand names.
for bad band names. But are there? Okay, give me a
Oh, for
bad.
bands, I
No,
don't
not
know.
brand name. Band names. Did I say brand? Maybe I meant to
Band.
say
You,
like as a band. If I
okay.
you name your band anything, you build around like that the meaning of that name becomes whatever your brand is. Like it fits because that's who you are. Okay.
Okay. I've got a bad band name, Camden.
Okay.
Have you heard of the band of Montreal?
No.
No. Well, probably it's partially because they've got a bad band name. They named themselves that, I believe, because they're from Montreal. But that does
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna let me guess what type of music they do based on the name. Can I do that?
sure.
So I'm thinking of Montreal sounds like either a like folksy type of band or like an early like a mid 2000s emo punk rock type of band.
You would be wrong on both fronts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then yeah, it's a bad brand name. But
Yeah.
continue.
They've got like they're very psychedelic indie weird. It's like very much styled after like the late 60s psychedelia era of music, but then modern and weird and funky and bizarre.
So why is that a bad name? Bad name just because it doesn't like.
Because it says nothing about them. There's no, they could call themselves anything, and of Montreal says nothing.
But what does Weezer say?
They like to smoke weed.
What
I don't
does
know. I know, and maybe there's an argument to be made that there is no such thing as a bad band name, but I think there are some.
hmm. I sorry,
Like
I'm
the
not. I'll
Who,
let you get to your
the
topic.
Who, what?
And they're one of the biggest bands ever, right?
Yeah, and it's a dumb band name. Who are they? The Who. I mean, I
But what
guess
is it?
that's
Dumb based on how you liking it, or dumb like it will keep them from commercial success? Because you can't make that
yeah,
argument.
that's true.
But
All right, okay.
I
I
get
just think
mad
it's
about
stupid.
naming brand names because it's hard. Hopefully none of our clients hear this. I'm just kidding. I don't care if they do. It's hard to do the brand name phase for I've never named a band before, but for organizations because it's so subjective and you're both right and wrong at the same time based on how you want to look at it. Like for example, if there was a brand new a store or not even brand new, but like a rebrand of a store, a grocery store, a department store that wanted to rebrand, and they came to us and said, "Hey, what should our name be? Help us get a logo." And we came back after taking the research on their target market and their personality and who they were going to be serving to, and said, "You know what? You should call yourselves Target, and your logo is going to be a big red target." Obviously you can't really think about that situation without knowing what Target is, but you're like Target, like I think people shoot at like that, like a target on my back, like we sell to women who homemaker women, and like we Target, I feel like that would get thrown out in round one. But you build a store around it, you build a reliable brand and visual identity, you have the right kind of stuff, you have the right messaging in your marketing. Is anyone going to say Target's a bad name for that store? And again, I'm being subjective in my analysis of that even still. I look at some of those names and I'm like, if I pitched that, I would have been shot down. But someone got it through over there and now it works.
Yeah, that's true. That would feel like a bad brand name, but
I assume the reason it is that name was that's like this is like it hits the mark. Like it's what you need. It's like that's what the go to. That's my interpretation. I don't know. I've never seen messaging really related to that. But anyways,
yeah,
sorry, target tangent.
target
But
tangent. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But I like band names that have like a story behind them or like a meaning. If I'm gonna pick like
yeah,
Led Zeppelin, like the whole, you know the story behind how they got their name. Like,
yeah,
yeah, like that's a great band name because it was kind of like an fu to whoever said that, and they became one of the biggest bands in the world. So
yeah.
yeah,
Brand story.
yeah, brand stories are important too, I guess. Anyway, moral of the story: billboards are fun. Weezer has good sense of humor. I,
This has been a sort of on brand YouTube channel so far. YouTube episode.
it's been sort of on
Sort
brand.
of,
Yeah.
yeah, sort of on brand.
Okay, speaking of sort of on brand, when you're buying things, Camden, how how important is it to you to like buy the branded product? Like, or I guess no. Let me go like even like further back. Brand loyalty is kind of like the overarching part of what I want to talk about. Like, how important is brand loyalty to you, and where does that like end?
Yeah,
Like, is there a point that it ends?
I feel like I'm a unique case because I'm special. I'm just kidding. But because I am so not only do I work in the industry, but I really am a fan of it. Like it's entertaining to me. I feel like I consume brands and advertising and stuff a little bit different than like the average consumer. I am somewhat loyal. I don't have. I'll answer your question. There's not a whole lot of brands I feel fiercely loyal to, but the brands I'm more loyal to, it's often because I respect their branding and marketing moves. Like because of that commercial you ran, I'm like, yeah, like you're cooler in my mind. Whereas the commercial itself might not have made me like feel that way as a consumer. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also kind of a penny pincher. I try to be not as much as I was years ago, I guess, but like so I feel like I'm not as a. I'll buy off brand if it's cheaper usually, but I'm also married, and my wife, I think, is not doesn't consume brands quite in the same way I do as someone who works in the industry, and I actually do most of the grocery shopping. So I've been instructed there are some things I need to get the brand name because she says it's better. I'm still
Oh,
convinced on a blind taste test she wouldn't know. I'm not allowed to buy off-brand Nutella. It's got to be Nutella. Now, I don't think it's because of the brand image or she wants someone to like see it in our pantry and think we're Nutella people. I think she just likes it better. But there's some products where I feel like the brand name is actually better than the off brand, and I guess Nutella is one of those things. Not a necessary staple of the pantry, but we buy that, and so that's one that we buy brand name. Same with macaroni and cheese. We've tried lots of with we have little kids and stuff, and so I try to save money and get like the 50-cent box for macaroni and cheese. But again, my wife's like, that's not as good. The kids don't like it as much. So I
yeah,
have to buy Kraft macaroni and
have to
cheese.
buy Kraft.
So mainly it's food stuff. As far as brand loyalty for myself and beyond just the grocery aisle, again, I know this is I'm someone who works in the industry who's all about building brand loyalty for companies. I don't feel like I have that many brand loyalties because I need to think about it. Do you have any in your mind? Like, how about you? I'll think about it. And you answer.
I find myself less brand loyal and more like anti-brand. if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So
Isn't that funny that we are in that space? And that's, anyways,
yeah, so
continue.
like and maybe it's just because I think I'm better than everyone else, but like I
You know that.
I won't buy Apple products. I just won't. I don't want to be part of their ecosystem, and I like how broad and open the Android system is, and you can use multiple devices for it, and it's just more flexible. But
That's the okay. So I have Apple products. This isn't Apple. If you anybody noticed, I changed earbuds because or earphones because these ones died during the episode, and now I'm wearing my corded ones. I never wanted or chose to be part of it, but yeah, Apple ecosystem. But it is an ecosystem. Someone got
yes,
me as a gift. I got an iPhone when I was younger, and then someone as I was working on my first jobs, for work they got me a Mac computer, and then I married into a family that they all have iPhones and like to follow my or find my friends and so it's like I tried once when I got a new phone to get an Android phone, and it just didn't work. Like this doesn't. It's not intuitive. It doesn't have the things the way I want it to.
it's so
It
much
doesn't
more
do the
intuitive and
it
so
doesn't do
much
well,
more.
not if I've been using
Uh,
not for using Apple. And so I was like, this doesn't work the way it's supposed to, and I can't work with all my other devices. So it's like, okay, I guess I'm an Apple person by default. And so I'm an iPhone, and I'm doing this on a Mac right now, and I don't like that I'm stuck. I hate that they nitpick, like they'll do like stuff that doesn't work with other systems, right? Or I'll buy knockoff chargers that'll work for a while and then they'll stop working because Apple, like the device, like recognizes it's not an Apple cord and will stop charging.
yeah,
I'm a victim of it, but I'm there.
yeah. So I guess you could say I'm loyal to the Android brand,
Okay.
but it's not because I love the brand Android. It's just more because I don't like Apple. I'm trying to think of other. I I don't know. When it comes to like food and stuff, I always want to like try something new. So I'm
Yeah.
a beer and whiskey drinker, and I have a couple brands that I like, but I like to try other stuff too. So I'm not like always buying the same thing because I want
Yeah.
to explore. But I know that like if
Maybe it's,
I default to like Epic Brewing or Uinta Brewing or PBR, I know
mm,
I'm gonna like it because they're good.
I, again, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but because I feel like I consume and view and assess brands maybe a little bit differently than the average consumer, I feel like there's two different like trains of thought. I'll feel a certain way about a brand, which really is their brand to me is the way I feel about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how they exist in my mind. But there's a separation between that and my actual like purchasing decisions. So like for
Mm-hmm.
example, my favorite, this is going to seem pretty random and it is. My favorite brand of chewing gum is Extra because I really like the commercials that they've run in the past, the give extra, get extra, like that like hits you right in the feels about a stupid gum. Like it's just gum, but they I don't know if you've seen those before. They have like the dad who like folded up the wrapper's origami for his daughter over the years, and then she's going off to college, and like the box opens up and they all spill out, and you realize she's been saving their little gum wrappers. They have this little heartfelt moment, or the one where like the couple's dating and he always whenever they have gum, he draws a little picture on like the gum wrapper and hands it to her, and like there's these little moments throughout the years, and then he frames them in a hallway as she walks down, and the last one is a picture of him proposing, and he's right there propose. It's just like a super heartfelt, and I'm
I
like,
haven't
you
seen
made
those.
me feel something. Oh yeah, watch him. Go
Okay.
to extra gum commercials on YouTube after
Okay.
this, and it's like, oh, good job. Like, cause you made it wasn't like you were selling wedding rings, you weren't selling some uh, something that goes in your home. Like you were selling gum, and it's honestly not to diss on extra gum. It's not necessarily the most flavorful gum, like my favorite like experience I've had out there. But I'm like, well done. Like from a marketing perspective, props. Do I buy extra gum loyally? No. I've got Trident sitting in my desk right now. But so does that count as brand loyalty? No, I guess not. But I would like I have the best view of them as a brand.
but this was on the shelf when I bought it and it was a good price. And so same thing with like Burger King. I am not a Burger King fan. I don't eat that much fast food in general anymore. And Burger King isn't necessarily top of my list, but they have trolled people so hard. They had the Big Mac deal where like if you went, they geo-marked all the McDonald's locations, and if you got on the Burger King app in the McDonald's location or like the parking lot, then a deal would pop up for a 1 cent Whopper. And so like you had to go to McDonald's to then not get a Whopper deal to then leave McDonald's and buy their burger. And I was like, that they did that one, and then shortly on the tail of that one, or maybe it was before that one, they also did the commercial with like the Amazon Alexa, where they were talking about in the commercial, the person in the commercial said, "Hey Alexa, what's in a Whopper?" or how do you make a Whopper or something like that. And everyone's Alexa devices who has one in their house started reading this from Wikipedia, and they had gone on and edited their Wikipedia page to read what they wanted it to say. It got messed up quickly, and people found out, and they started typing so they would say like the wrong stuff
Yeah.
until they quickly like took that ad down. But I'm like, I don't know if it sold a single burger, but I'm like the cleverness of like the effort, the use of technology, the thought, the trolling a little bit. I went out and I bought not a Big Mac, a Whopper from Burger King that week after that happened, and I was like, this is props for the effort. I don't think I've been back since, and so I'm not brand loyal, but I have weird affinities for certain brands in the marketing sense, not so much with my purchase behavior.
Yeah, if I see a really clever commercial, I might just engage with that brand because of that. Because, yeah, I totally get that. I've been thinking a lot about water lately, and I know we want to do like a whole episode on liquid death.
Liquid death.
But my golly, I love everything that brand has done. I love their imagery. I love their marketing campaigns. I like kind of what they stand for and how they use the death to plastic hashtag, like from an environmental standpoint. Like, love that too. So I don't see myself like prepping for a road trip, going into a gas station and buying an Aquafina anymore, or a Fiji. Like, I'm going to buy liquid.
Really?
Yeah.
They're an interesting brand to me too, besides all the stuff you just mentioned, which is super interesting. But because water is such a commodity, and so like there's the differentiation between water brands is so little. I mean, I'm sure like purists will say, no, this one tastes way different, but like water is pretty much water, right?
Water
and
purists.
So like it's so like water truthers, but liquid death is because it's just water. It's the type of brand where you can't. There are some brands that there's a natural benefit that stands out about what they're giving, and so they're like, this is kind of our thing, and so therefore our brand's built around this. Water is just water. There's no real health. There's no difference in the benefit of what your body gets from it than like any other water brand, really. So it's purely an opportunity to say we are just going to decide a brand. So they have the thought process of be like, death to plastic and what would be unexpected, and let's go have personality to a commodity and a niche that has no personality. It's just like fresh spring, whatever, a mountain picture, like to where it's like a chance to. So I wonder why we could think about what other, that could be an episode later as well, what other like verticals or product lines or something or industries have not utilized brand where you could stand out just by having a brand, basically.
Right.
Like having a recognizable brand. That's all. Because the waters, they don't tout the benefits. They don't even say it's the best water you're going to get or it's more healthy or it tastes better. They're just like, this is our brand and it's the coolest water you can get out there. It's the funnest water. And so drink this one.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I think they're just brilliant, and yeah, we'll dive into them at some point. But what I'm kind of interested about today, though, is I think we all have a point when it comes to our shopping decisions, and I'm really thinking about like groceries, particularly. But I know there's examples of this in clothing retail and all sorts of stuff. But like, at what point does a brand name really not matter? Like, for example, Advil versus the generic ibuprofen. Like, why would you buy the Advil brand over the generic and like, does Advil even have a brand? It does. I don't, when I go to the medicine cabinet, I'm like, I got a headache. I don't say, I would like a couple of ibuprofen, please. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. It's a stupid word. I hate it. So I just call it Advil, but I never buy Advil.
I do call ibuprofen or acetaminophen, which is I think the Tylenol chemical.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't buy brand name either. Comment in the comments below if you are loyal to any medication brand. That's an interesting point. Yeah, usually I just get whatever's. I mean, I'll compare like ingredients, make sure the dosage is similar, like the active chemicals or whatever ingredients. But like, yeah, if I have the store brand, I pretty much always buy that instead of the brand name.
Yeah, cold medicine too, like Dayquil, NyQuil. I have bought the brand name stuff, but if the generic's cheaper and the dosages are the same, yeah, I'll just do that. Or like, where do you do your like grocery shopping?
So this is how much of a penny pincher I am. I don't just go to one place because I try to max. So
or are you a couponer? Like, do you?
No, I mean I have used coupons before, but I'm not. I don't like save and have a bunch of those. But I go. This isn't everywhere, so you have to be near enough to one. But unfortunately, I've been able to go to Winco. I don't know if that's everywhere in the nation or not, but I go to Winco because that's pretty much consistently the cheapest place for most of my household products, but not bulk stuff. Costco is where I go for bulk. And I guess I am a Costco brand loyalty over Sam's Club. That's kind of the debate. For whatever reason, the types of stuff they have there and the layout, and like I've been into Sam's Club and I've been into Costco, and I'm a Costco guy.
Interesting.
I can't really say why. I've been to Sam's Club, but it just didn't feel right. Maybe it was like the Apple situation where I was used to Costco and this didn't do the same thing. I don't know. And then Walmart is like the catch-all at the end. Walmart has everything, but it's not always the best stuff that I want, and it's it's fairly cheap, but it's usually not cheaper than Winco. So Winco for most stuff I don't need in bulk. Costco for stuff I'll get in bulk, and if I miss something or anything, or I have just a meal I'm doing that night, I need to go down the road right then, I'll go to Walmart quickly because it's closer. But I'm not like I'm not one of the, I'm not trendy. I don't go to Trader Joe's. I'm not going to like Whole Foods. I'm not going to maybe when I have more money in my life and I can not look at the price tag as much, I'll do some of that. But nope, that's my go-to three is Winco, Walmart, and Costco.
Interesting. Okay, well, I learned something about you today. Did not know that was your style. But okay, so let me continue the questioning a bit then. So at those various stores, are there store brands that you prefer over the others? Like, do you buy great value stuff?
It's kind of a mix with great value. Things like the medicines or things like, I can't think of anything really besides like I said, like Nutella and Kraft macaroni and cheese. Those are the things I always buy brand, I think. The rest, I usually get whatever's cheapest. At Costco, I really think the Kirkland brand, their owned brand, is pretty good. I don't seek it out over brand name usually, but they don't always have a version of that next to their name brand. But basically, if there is a Kirkland brand version of something, it's high enough quality that, and it's cheaper, I'll pretty much always get that because I never really noticed a downfall in quality or anything. So that's one that I get a lot of. And again, I have kids and stuff, so like that includes like diapers and formula and things like that. But
okay, so we just referenced two store brands, Great Value, Kirkland. Mm-hmm. I think maybe what you're saying is the loyalty for those brands is because they're typically cheaper.
Yeah, I don't like a real brand affinity for it. It's just like they're good enough in quality that I save money by getting them. Yeah.
Yeah. But we remember their names. Is it because we buy them often? Like
you can buy a Kirkland signature shirt. I've seen those before.
We have a coworker who's got one. Yeah. I think I've seen her wear a Kirkland like sweatshirt. Anyway,
Or people like I've seen in memes too. They're like if they're making fun of like a failed attempt at something, they'll say like, "Oh, that's like the great value version of whatever that thing is," which it's like it's not the highest quality. It's not the name brand. It's the great value
yeah,
Elvis or something like that. Yeah.
great value, Elvis.
Or Wish. People talk about Wish. You ever shopped on Wish online?
I have not.
I think it's all made in China. I think it all comes from China. I could be wrong about this. You can correct me in the comments, but it's like popular because it's super super cheap for stuff, like way cheaper, but you have to wait like who knows how long to get stuff. Sometimes like weeks or months to get something, and you don't really know when it's going to come, and it may or may not be what you actually ordered when it does come. Like it's kind of just like
You're wishing for
I don't
something and you don't know if it's gonna happen.
sort of. It's basically, I guess it's the meme or like the joke is that you always see something that looks great on Wish, and then you gamble, and you're probably not going to get what you ordered back, get back to you. And so I've heard a lot of times when like someone like looks like a certain celebrity, but they're not as attractive or something. They'll be like, "Oh, that's like the Wish version of Ryan Gosling or something like that." Or like when you order something from Wish, and yeah, so they have like a negative connotation in that sense, but they're purely banking on their brand being really the cheapest.
I guess what's the point in Walmart or Costco branding these store brands basically? Something other than themselves. Like why isn't it just
Yeah, they don't have the name, right?
Yeah, why is great value and not like the Walmart version of something? Because that's what it is.
Yeah, there might be some actual like business DBAs and stuff that I'm not aware that we might be talking about actual like legal aspects that I'm not aware of. I don't know the answer why they don't just call it their own name. Maybe they have different distributors that all come together and stamp under the name. I don't know, but yeah, it's like there are some brands that are trying to promote the brand, whereas Great Value only promotes itself on the shelf. Like
Yep.
in the moment you're looking at that can and that can, in that moment you have brand comparison, but I've seen Walmart ads, but you've never seen a Great Value ad. You never see like and I'm not saying that maybe they've ran one I'm not aware of, but like they don't do that. They just try to Walmart ads get you in the store.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, that's what they're trying to do, right? And then Great Value with how they get a sale.
But then
and just because they have a higher profit margin, right?
Like I would hate to be in like food sales. Like that is not something I want to be in because I think about like the amount of time and effort it would take if you're Kraft or Campbell's Soup or something and you are designing those labels to be something pretty and enticing, and then it sits next to a cheaper version with a really boring ass label, and people choose that over you. Like your branding doesn't like it feels like it doesn't in that scenario is not as valuable.
I've had an idea once. I haven't like done it, but I like just was thinking about it. I wanted to design a product packaging for some kind of in-store grocery brand that refers to the products next to it. Yet it's hard to know how you're going to be like organized or what's good, but something like we have half the calories of this guy, or like something like with an arrow or something like that, or it's like we they aren't really farm raised, we are, or something like I don't know how you would do that, but like somehow it's like right there in the moment you're advertising to the person walking by on your packaging, and like competing with the other products next to you. Anyways, random thought made me remember that, but yeah, you're right. It's the grocery store aisles are a whole like that's again for nerds like us that think about this kind of thing. Like that is unlike any other. It's like, yeah, you might have multiple billboards going down the street and they're kind of by each other, but like you have brands pushed together that were never they weren't designed to be right by each other.
Right.
And it's just all at the same time or flashing their awareness at you, and yeah, they're flashing you in the grocery store aisle.
They are. It's a little aggressive at times.
Are there rules? There's probably laws about that. What if like this would be super inefficient from a financial perspective. But can you like put like a can or like a box that has like a flashing light on it or something, just draw attention, like a strobe or like like, is that even legal? No one would. No one does it because it would be too expensive and it could break or whatnot. But like,
I
can you
have
do
no
that?
idea. I have no idea.
Imagine if you're walking down the aisle and there's like 30 different like cake mixes, and one of them is like this little dancing like strobe light thing, and just poof, like.
Well, I wonder. I mean, like, I feel like as a kid, I remember seeing some like cereal boxes that had a little bit of that like parallax on it or something, or
Oh yeah.
but that's not like electronic. But
Do people still put toys in cereal?
you're the one with kids. I don't know.
I buy the Great Value Big or the Winco brand bulk buy, so I'm not getting the kind that has it in there. If there's I haven't bought a box of cereal in a long time. I'm buying the bulk bag. I wonder if that's still a thing. They still have Happy Meals that put toys in them.
Yeah. So I guess my point in talking about all this is, it feels like to me, and I don't think we have an answer, and I don't know if there is like a hard and fast rule, but it seems like there's a point at which brand name doesn't matter anymore, and like there is some sort of like scale in which a brand has a purpose and a reason for existing, and then there's at the far end of it, it doesn't matter anymore. And I'm curious to
I
know
feel
like
like
where that line is, and maybe it's different for different products too. But
see that I would respond to that as thinking about wanting to play the game and win the game. That might be true, but that's an opportunity. Let's just say Advil. I think Advil, hey Advil, come work. Let us work with you if you're watching this. We're going to do some good stuff for you. I think that's an opportunity to say, like Liquid Death did, and say, you know what, this might be just kind of seen as we're all the same and we don't really stand out that much, and we have the same ingredients. Water is the same thing in the can, but Liquid Death built a brand that makes it stand out. I think you could have, if there's a space like that or a product like that, or that's an opportunity to really become a more noticeable and a brand that resonates. And then like imagine there's a liquid, you wouldn't want to call it death actually if it was medicine, not called something death, but something a brand like Liquid Death that was in the medicine space. You would turn some people off, just like Liquid Death turns some people off to it. But you would stand out and be like, okay, that one's different in the aisle. You have a chance to have brand loyalty, maybe.
yeah,
And I know I'm speaking in ideal terms. It's easier to talk about than to build yourself, and that's the challenge. But I feel like yes, there are currently some places where brand doesn't have much of a make much of a difference. But I would say that's an opportunity for you to differentiate yourself and just become the one that makes a difference. That makes it. If someone can do it with water, you can do it with any product.
that's true.
Like
That's true. And I think at that point, the brand is no longer about the product; it's about other values
yeah,
that the brand offers.
dude wipes. They sell wipes, just pretty much like baby wipes, but they brand them for dudes, and they have a whole thing around that. Like that's kind of a similar version where it's like at stand. I don't can't. There's wipes and there's Huggies and there's things for kids, and then there's dude wipes. That's like a thing. Or there's Cards Against Humanity. There's lots of little card games where you have to match things up, and it's kind of like apples to apple and whatnot. But Cards Against Humanity, that's an episode for later as well.
Yes.
The way that they've branded it as this chaotic, unexpected, random, funny. Anyways, that the card, not even the game itself. Like the game is fun, but the brand that makes the card game stands out.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are things like that where you could have made the exact same game and not had that brand, and some people would have bought it, but it would have been all that difference from like apples to apples. But you branded it. You could have made wipes and said, "Hey," you could Huggies can run an ad saying this is also good for men, but that's not their brand. Dude wipes is like these are dude wipes, like. Anyways, this is a random example,
Yeah.
but like, so I think it's possible to still use branding to your advantage, but not everyone tries. And maybe their sales are just good enough they don't care.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times a lot of times big brands will own other knockoff or smaller brands, so they're actually getting money in both areas. They'll have their own off-brand version of it.
Okay, I know we're going a little long here, but like this gets me to another point. So let's say you are a brand that owns smaller knockoff brands almost. Like, is there? I was thinking about this when it comes to like soda. So there's Dr. Pepper, right? Big brand, everybody knows it. It's not part of the Coke universe or the Pepsi universe. It's its own thing. It's weird that those are universes. Anyway, but there's like knockoff Dr. Peppers, like
Pibb,
Dr.
or
Thunder.
Mr.
There was
Pibb.
Mr. Pibb.
Yeah.
There's like you see Dr. Thunder or like weird Shasta was some kind of knockoff brand. I don't think that was
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper specific, but some of those names are really bad. They're like really bad. And I'm wondering if in some cases is probably done to cause a little bit of market confusion and or to like Dr. Thunder is called Dr. Thunder. It uses the doctor word because it's similar to Dr. Pepper. You know, the flavor is similar, but I wonder if there's a case for purposefully using a name that's not as good as the brand name just so that you can attract people who are value shoppers. Like, this is clearly not a name brand, so therefore it's going to be cheaper whether you're actually paying attention to the prices or not.
It's interesting. But then it gets into the question of like what we're saying off-brand and name brand. Every brand's a brand. It's just like what makes great value an off-brand. Like, I know what you mean. It is, but I'm saying because it's not as big and doesn't have as much commercial airtime or something as the other one. Like, what is it?
I guess I would call something an off-brand if it's like intentionally a knockoff of a brand that is more well-known. Like if it clearly has a correlation in name, that would be like a.
There's a lot of times that big brand names will have knockoff or not. They wouldn't call them knockoff, but like attempting to mimic other products, like shoes, like basketball shoes or sports shoes. Like Nike will drop something, Indeed will have a similar type of thing. Like, anyway, that's a different topic. But like where sometimes the name isn't changed, but they have product lines that are more trying to, or like Nutella, for example. There's all kinds of hazelnut spreads and stuff out there now. And Nutella wasn't necessarily the first one, but Nutella, I think, is the reigning name for that specific chocolate spread stuff.
Right.
And there are some that like are getting bigger. Like they're not trying to be a knockoff brand name, but they have similar products.
So in prepping for this episode, I was looking for like funny knockoff brand names, and I found one for Nutella. It was called Nutmaster.
Okay. That was my nickname in high school. Nutmaster.
Sorry, I just had.
That's an actual product? You can buy that?
I don't know. It could be something that someone photoshopped, but it's funny. Whether it's real or not, I like it. Also, in prepping a little bit, I found I love Reddit, and I spend a decent amount of time on there. There's a whole subreddit called Crappy Off Brands that I didn't know existed, and it is active.
Nice.
And it is very entertaining. I mean, a lot of it's like clearly stuff like overseas that they're trying to confuse.
Those are funny to see some of those international knockoffs. Like there's some funny stuff.
That's good.
Or like when they mistranslate things, like when they put something that's like offensive in English or something. Anyways, some funny stuff.
Okay, you might have, though, just to back up and maybe to sum up a little bit, I think you might have convinced me that while there's a spectrum of maybe a point where a brand name is less necessary or less important for a product, there's always an opportunity to make it more important.
I don't feel quite the loyalty to like or the affinity for Liquid Death that it seems like you would, because I don't know if I'd necessarily just stick to it now, but I have bought it before. But before, I'm now more likely to grab it, whereas before, if I was picking up a water from at the gas station or something, it's whatever was like Aquafina, Dasani, Mountain, whatever it's called, like different things, or Arrowhead water, like. To me, it was just water. And again, there are some people who really care about like the specific waters, and maybe I'm just not that demographic. Yeah. But now, to me, it's like all the others, and Liquid Death is its own thing. And so I am more likely to choose that versus any other one. It's a crapshoot for any of the other ones, and then there's Liquid Death because it has a brand now. So if that can happen with water, I feel like it can happen with any type of product or service.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Well, this has been fun. Yes.
Has.
I think I need to acknowledge our sponsor for this episode. It's Taylor Swift, and she's promoting her new album Midnights.
Yeah,
I know by the time you're watching this, it's been out for a couple of weeks, but she's really proud of it and felt like her brand could value from us mentioning it here.
We should try to have her on sometime. She's been wanting to.
I know. She seems like a great person. Maybe a little dramatic, but
hey.
I will say that I think the way the drop was handled for the new album was clever and very on brand for Taylor. I'm not a huge fan of her music, but I thought the way they rolled that out was great.
Careful, don't offend our sponsor.
I'm sorry, Taylor. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But great job on launching that album at midnight with the 3 a.m. tracks. Like that was clever. Well done. I really, 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 I appreciated that. Good job, Taylor.
Okay.
And thank you for sponsoring this episode.
Yes.
If anyone watching wants to sponsor an episode, it only costs $1 right now, and we'll shout out whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not whatever. Let's make it appropriate. But yeah, you can reach us at sortofonbrand@gmail.com.
Or we're on Twitter, Instagram, obviously here on YouTube. Or Josh and I on LinkedIn or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. TikTok. We should be on TikTok too by the time this is
TikTok.
up.
Did I mention that? Yeah, TikTok.
Yeah.
That's how we got in touch with Taylor the first time.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this was fun.
Good. See you next time.
Goodbye.